and I'm trying to get things to sound atmospheric, add something that's not there, some sound effects, but I don't want to go outside and record atmosphere. I don't want to do anything outside of the mix room. There's an easy way to do this, and this is by using the Galaxy Space Echo. Get comfortable with tape echoes. They're the best for ambiance, no question. You want to add atmosphere, you want to add some ambient noises that ain't there, ambient, whatever it is. Those things come from a plugin like this, all right? So check this out. Galaxy Tape Echo, you see this? This thing is my favorite version to use when it comes to any kind of spaceship thing flying around, creating something cool. You'll notice this in Radiohead songs. It's all over a lot of stuff when they're trying to be kind of trippy and cool. So Galaxy Space Echo is the version that was sitting on people's desks. Like Stuart Copeland used to have this near his drum set, so he could use it in tandem with his drums and create that kind of reggae dub flavor. A lot of dub music uses stuff like this. When you hear that snare hit and then it just kind of ba 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 and it keeps going on itself like forever, an infinite amount of times, it's usually something like this. So a lot of companies make versions of it. Echo Boy has their Space Echo, but this is, this is a different UA tape echo thing that kind of gives you a similar vibe. This Galaxy is my favorite. Now, let me show you what I do with it. I typically will take any sound, like it could be a drum set, right? And I just need like one hit. I need the guy playing something really simple, just like a click. On the hi-hat, on the ride cymbal, on a snare. It doesn't matter. Like a tom, a congo, a timbali. It don't matter. We could do it on anything. You could do it on vocal, do it on a guitar line. You could do it on anything. Depending on what you use it on will really determine how the spaceship sounds in a way. All right, so check this out. The feedback is all I automate. I come over here, hit the square and a square. I find feedback on this thing, and then I pop it over here to the right side, which means I am now automating just feedback. I usually just do feedback because that way I can maintain tweakability on all the other settings without worrying about them, being a part of the automation. I just want the feedback automated. Then, as I go through, let's say I want to put it on this track. So I come over here, I hit the auto read thing, this where it says auto read on Pro Tools. This is our automation, and I go to touch because that means when I touch it, it will move, and when I let go, it'll go back to where it was in the beginning. Now, the key with this, all right, now it doesn't matter how you set this stuff. I want you to know repeats and all this, like a lot of these things is how the heads are going to repeat, and basically a lot of it depends on the song. So I can't tell you how to make this work with your song. You will have to figure that out based on the tempo of your song and how it rocks. Now, once you get this stuff set in a way you like and you could sync it with the tempo or not, I generally don't when I'm going for atmosphere. There's not really a point to sync it with the tempo when you want something to sort of live in its own world and fly in and out and create this ambiance, okay? So check this out. Watch the feedback, this thing right here as I manipulate this song. So I'm just going to hit play on the track. Now watch what happens to the feedback. See, I'm basically controlling it. I'm keeping it relatively low until I want it to get nuts. As soon as I make it louder, the feedback starts flying around stuff. Now, I also have Vocal Bender on to mess with it even more. But if I take off Vocal Bender, still sounds cool. Check it out. This is without Vocal Bender. Way more natural, depending on what kind of spaceship you're going for. You may want to mess with the pitch or not. Vocal Bender's just messing with my pitch. So I did a similar thing to this where I'm automating the pitch on Vocal Bender. That's all I'm doing here, all right? So this whole effect is created by me taking it up to where I want the feedback to start being serious and then backing it down before it overtakes the song. Look, see? I jam it and then I bring it back. By doing this, see, I want more. So as soon as the hit happens, it starts to feedback, and then I keep it. I'm playing it like an instrument. If I let this thing sit up here, it will just get louder and louder and louder and louder until it overtakes everything happening in the song. Because you're using this as ambiance within the music, you don't want it to overtake the song. You want it to just be there in certain moments to come and go, because then it's more interesting to the ear. Now, in addition to this, if you'll notice, I have my favorite reverb on any sort of percussion elements, which is the EMT 250, which was another big unit in studios, and that's creating some flavor in terms of the room. This is just reverb. And then the Brower Motion plugin is giving me this sort of sound stage of left to right, moving it around in the way like a spaceship would. So in other words, once you've got your Galaxy stuff doing its thing with that spaceship sound, now you got to move it around. A good reason why your mixes may not be where they should be yet is because you haven't married the creative side of your brain with the how-to side of your brain. They must become one. They must talk to each other. They must communicate. They must work well together. They must have a good relationship. It must be a solid marriage between the creative side, which gives you the idea. It's your instinct. How am I going to make this better? That's the instinct of, I think it would be cool if this. Now, if you don't have that side, then you're only how-to. You're only, well, this song needs to have exactly this, and this is how you EQ a kick drum. This is how you EQ a tom. That's all the how-to. Whereas the creative side is what makes the how-to have to get in gear and get it moving, and what are we going to do, and this is how we're going to do it. It makes everything better. Some people I notice are way too analytical, so they're way too on the path of how to only, and they're less creative. And then some people are only creative and they don't know how to do nothing but experiment with different things, and whatever happens. And when something they don't want, if they want anything they're doing to change, they got no clue how to do it. So what I'm saying is that marriage between the two is key. You must have all the creative ideas, but also know how to achieve what you're trying to create. So this is why mixing becomes a very difficult thing to do, but don't be discouraged. You build this over time. Nobody knows how to do everything when they're starting. You must learn every step to do what you want to do. Now that's the thing. What do you want to do? If you want to do a spacey thing, well, I just gave you a way you could do that. But what I'm saying is this should just be a springboard for you to come up with other things you might want to do and use these methods in order to get you even further where you're going. That's the thing. There's never an end to what we do. It's just all dependent on the person with the idea. So how creative can you be? You know, I came up with the space echo thing, and then I want to pitch shift it around, and then I want to pan it around the speakers in that order pretty much. So, you know, space echoes first. I'm hitting it with some reverb to keep it in an open room, like delays into reverbs, very common thing people do. Then I'm moving it with the pitch, possibly or not, depending on what we need to do in the song. Then I'm moving it around the speakers. So come up with what you might want to do to make whatever you're doing interesting. Even changing the order of how that stuff happened, maybe pitch first, this, that, it'll totally change what's going on. So you got to have the idea, be willing to experiment, never get in a box of this is how I always do things, and you'll be on your way to getting mixes that you want to sound the way you want them to sound. Like, that's the thing. How do you want them to sound? Because that's really what's going to happen. The people who make mixes that are very bleh, they just don't have the idea side working for them. So maybe you work on that. Whereas if you're somebody who has all the ideas but doesn't know how to do them, then that might be just as okay. It's either way is fine. Just learn then how to hone in on what to do when you don't know how to do certain things. If you're trying to make stuff happen but come and go, then learn automation. Like that, it's most of what we do in mixing. Automation is key. If you don't know how to take it away and put it there and take it away and use it in a way that, oh, a little bit here, a little bit there, that could be what you're missing. It's not about get something going and that's it. It's all about how much we get it going, pulling it up in the mix and pulling it back. This is the key element to making great mixes. It takes a lot of time to do that, but it's worth it. Because that's where the feeling lies. You know, in addition to the feeling being in the mid-range, like JJP says a lot, and I'm a huge fan of JJP, the emotion, a lot of that lives in the mid-range. But there's also so much in what we decide to feed the listener and then pull back, and then feed and pull back, and then feature this and then pull back. There's so much to that. And that comes with effects. It comes every step of the way. It comes with the vocals. It comes with the rhythm section. It's all about that. Those subtle movements couple dB here, 1 dB back there, 1 dB up here. So critical to creating an experience that's super enjoyable, right? And it's not just 1 dB. Sometimes I go hard. Like sometimes that spaceship thing flies in, and then sometimes it's so far away. You just, if you were somebody watching, you'd see it in the background, and it's so far away, so you barely hear it. But then when it flies overhead, it's loud. So why wouldn't it get loud when it moves around? Like I'm trying to create life within a mix. So that's what life would be in life. So put it in the mix. All right? You guys got this. I'm going to leave you with that. All right? Evan Jaffe, Custom Cut Studios. Throw something in the comments. I appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Talk to you guys soon. All right? You guys got this. Take it easy.